What's up, people? It's me.
I'm going to be talking about my favorite games, video games of 2024. During my mid-year list video in July, I think I released that, I had only 3 games to talk about in that video, and they were the only 3 games I had played that had released in 2024. So I really locked in for the last half of the year, and yeah, we bumped those numbers up. Those were some rookie numbers. So I now have 16 games to pull from. I didn't love them all though. I didn't love them all. 4 of them were not really for me. Those games were Pepper Grinder, Pacific Drive, Skim, and The Plucky Squire. I actually think they're all quite good games. Pacific Drive was the coolest of those. And there was one game that would totally be on my favorites list if I had finished the game, but I didn't finish it because the only method of playing it I have is through my laptop, which is not for playing games. It can barely run it. It's called Grun. I think this game is so cool. It would be like in the top 5 had I seen it through and finished it, but the frames keep dropping and my laptop just doesn't really run it very well. If it ever comes to consoles, best believe I'm buying it. On my PlayStation, I'll finish it there, but for now, I can't really in good faith include it on this list, but it's definitely my kind of jam. I wish things were different. So those are my kind of honorable mentions. Every other game I played this year, that released this year, I fucking loved. And I'm going to be talking about all 11 of those games right here. These are my top 11, my top 11 games of 2024. Why not just do a top 10, you ask? Because I want to mention the 11th one too, because I love it. This is just all the games I loved, basically. You might think, wait,
Where the fuck is Dragon's Dogma 2? Where the fuck is Final Fantasy 7 Remake? Hey bro, where the fuck is Stellar Blade? Hey bro, where the fuck is Silent Hill 2?
I didn't play them. If I haven't mentioned it in this video, I did not play it. This is all the stuff I played that I loved. I just told you all the other ones I played that I didn't love. Oh, I played Marvel Rivals as well. That's not very good though. Number 11. I literally just played this game like a few days ago. It's a very short game, and I'm honestly really grateful it's on this list. To be honest, I look at this game, I look at it on my list, and I'm like, man, thank goodness you're here. Which is kind of funny because that's actually the title of the game.
Great job!
This is the second game from Coal Supper. I think they're like a whole team, but they're sort of led by these 2 guys in Yorkshire. This thing is cute. This thing is charming. This thing is funny. It's really unique. I actually hope it becomes a bit of a classic. I hope many other developers take note that gaming is actually a pretty good canvas for comedy. All you do in this game is you walk around, you jump, and you slap. You slap things a lot. They label this game as a slapformer on the game description on PlayStation and Steam. When I first saw that, I was like, oh, okay, so it's a platformer, but like maybe with a bit of slapstick comedy or something, which is kind of what it is. But no, they took the word slap pretty literally. They use that for a good reason. You are slapping everything. This entire game is slapping things. You walk up to people, you slap them. You walk up to bins, you slap them. And every time you slap something, more often than not, there is a reaction. Something happens to the thing you slap, whether it's a funny little gag, a little catchphrase. It's like an interactive cartoon. It's like you hit pause on your favorite cartoon and you stepped into the TV and everything is sort of like in some kind of weird stasis. That's kind of what the experience of playing this game is. And this thing is definitely inspired by Cartoon Network and Adult Swim and those kind of absurdist cartoons, you know, SpongeBob and whatnot. Like, this thing will sort of defy logic pretty often. It will use the fact that it is a cartoon hand-drawn 2D art style to its advantage. Like, you'll walk into a butcher's or something and all of a sudden you're just like fucking tiny. There's no like logical reason or explanation as to why you're all of a sudden really tiny, but for some reason it just makes sense in the context of this really silly, fun game. The story here is pretty loose. You're essentially a salesman who has traveled to this fictional English town where everyone is just struggling to get something done, and you just walk around slapping things, and miraculously this seems to help get things done. The appeal of the game is just the cast of characters, the voice acting, the visual gags. It's really not your traditional game in the sense that there's like leveling up or, you know, combat or boss fights. This game exists purely so that these developers can just present to you some funny gags. That's what the game is, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a novelty game, but the love it was kind of built with really helps transcend it to something really endearing and wonderful that you really want to share. Like I want to show all my friends this game. I want to call up someone and be like, yo, come over, check this fucking game out. It's really funny. I really recommend this if you're looking to just relax and feel good and smile and be charmed for 3 hours, because that's what this will do, even if it's not your kind of sense of humor. This thing is just so fucking charming. Number 10. Number 10. This was a game that a student at my work was recommending to me for quite a while, and I looked up the reviews and they weren't the most flattering, but they were just like, you need to play it, you need to play it. And I was like, alright, whatever dude, I'll fucking play it. And they kept asking like, have you played it yet? And I'm like, I haven't even fucking bought it yet. And then it was on sale and I was like, oh great, I'll get it. Then I started playing it. It really gripped me. It was really good. Still Wakes the Deep.
You can't run forever. I know you were just trying to do right by me, so I need you to do what's right by us. Now, please, Cass.
Still Wakes the Deep is a walking... fucking hate that. Dude, walking simulator. Can we get rid of the fucking term walking simulator? Bro, why is this like an actual genre label now? I swear that term was born from like insults. If it's not a game that was built strictly for the purpose of simulating the experience of walking. There's a narrative, and you walk to propel the... Bro, anyway, I'm gonna get fucking heated if I carry on that. I'm not gonna call it a walking. I'm calling it a first-person narrative game. That's what we're calling it now. We ain't calling it a walking simulator. But yeah, this is one of those games. Developed by the Chinese Room, who actually have made some of the cornerstone titles in that genre. They were actually behind some of the first games to ever be thrown the label walking simulator. Games like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and Dear Esther. Dear Esther, I think you could argue, is like the one, like the classic that kind of birthed the genre. Solid stuff, to be honest. And then they made Amnesia 2, Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, the sequel to horror classic Amnesia: The Dark Descent. They took that on board and smashed it. That game is still played and modded to this day. So they've combined their first-person narrative skills with their horror skills, and they've really got their sea legs in both of those scenes at this point. And here we have Still Wakes the Deep, which is very much a harmonious marriage of those two games. It is exactly what I think both genres should be propelling more towards. This is one of the most refined and deftly executed games in either genre. As a horror experience, this thing is extremely earnest and tactile. The setting of an oil rig is really well used because it's very inhumane and mechanical, and everything feels like it could fall on you and kill you in an instant, and you're so far away from anything natural. So when the supernatural arises, you really feel like someone who is at the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's an innocence to that. All of your co-workers are just honest, like working class people who just do not deserve what is happening to them, and that kind of tragedy looms throughout this game's story, which is really contained. Super well told story, by the way. The voice acting and facial animations are some of the best I've ever seen from an indie game. It's actually ridiculous that this is an independently made game. Holy fuck. This game's attention to detail and fidelity graphically is ridiculous. I was so taken aback by the presentation the moment we began the game. Much like Thank Goodness You're Here though, this game is quite short-lived. I finished the game in around 5 hours, but I think the average playthrough is closer to like 4 hours, so yeah, your mileage is gonna vary. It's a quick one, but yeah, I was super compelled and entertained throughout all of it. I think if you're a fan of good body horror, man, you should get on this game, because fuck me, the creature design is cool. Fucking scary. This game, oh man. Never quite got used to seeing that thing, dude. Yeah, really good. I would say my only gripe with it was how it used its runtime. I do think more time should have been spent building out the co-workers and highlighting their fragility and innocence and all of this chaos, because you don't really get to spend too much time with them. It's really just that opening prologue and then little bits throughout. A lot of the gameplay here does kind of reduce to pretty mundane tasks, opening valves, climbing ladders and stuff like that. I wish there was less of that and more of the fucking amazing dialogue and voice acting. The voice acting in this game. Check this game out. I think it's awesome. Number 9. Crow Country. I actually bought this game, like, it was on sale. It wasn't like an urgent priority for me to play this game. My friend comes over, sees the game on my TV right here, and he's like, what's that? He's curious about it. I go over to it. He sees the little still image that pops up on PlayStation presenting the game. He's like, whoa, that looks cool. Can we play that right the fuck now? And I'm like, you know what? Sure. Haven't played it yet. Had no idea what we were getting into. I had no idea if it was good or bad or what. But he was just curious. So I was like, you know what? Let's discover it together. I'm playing the game. He's watching it. And I'm not surprised as to his reaction and his, desire to give it a go, because the game's look is pretty striking. This is a low poly, low-res survival horror game, very much clearly inspired by games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, PS1 survival horror stuff, which has been a bit of a trend lately. There's been quite a few games like The Glass Staircase, or Fear the Spotlight, or Signalis. I think that was the one that kind of pushed people to realize how cool this was as an idea. I think that was kind of the turning point was Signalis, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, games that kind of harken back to PS1 low polygon graphics. There's just a certain eeriness to it that seems to lend quite nicely to horror. And I have not played those other games, so I can't speak to how well Crow Country utilizes that framework in comparison to those games. But what I can say is that the look of Crow Country is one of its biggest strengths. This thing is slimy, squelchy, stinky. You feel like everything has about 500 diseases on it. All of the levels and areas and locations in this game feel very purposely assembled. Everything looks like it's there with the intention of inciting some kind of reaction out of you, but extremely unconcerned with what that reaction is. The mushrooms, the little freaking crows that spit out poison at you, everything just looks filthy in this game. As a horror experience, this thing it's creepy. I was gonna say tense, but to be fair, it's not that. The combat in the game is probably the weakest link. I never really quite felt cornered or under duress while I was fighting in this game. The guns are a little bit weightless, but it's nothing unlike what you might be used to from the games it's harkening back to. I don't think it plays any better or worse than like Silent Hill 1 necessarily, so I was okay with that. The experience as a whole ended up really culminating into something great to me, because this thing gets amazing use out of its setting and characters and story. This game takes place in an abandoned theme park called Crow Country. You're going to rides and roller coasters and arcade machines and stuff like that, and I think the developers here, SFB Games, who brought us snipper clips for the Nintendo Switch, I'm not joking, they seem to really understand the innate eeriness in a setting like this, and they drill deeper into it really cleverly with a mystery-based storyline that I was absolutely fascinated by. I was over here scavenging for every little note and loose piece of information that would help kind of make me further understand the grander scale of what happened to this amusement park. I was genuinely really intrigued by it. It really delivered, you know. I found it super fulfilling, and if you like puzzles and secrets, this game has loads of good ones. This game had loads of cool little nifty blink and you miss it little things that I was combing the map for all the little extra upgrades. I found this thing a lot of fun. I really recommend it. It's also quite short. I managed to finish the game in like 6 hours. Number 8 on my list is Balatro. I have roped in about 5-6 of my friends into playing this game, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I can just count about 5 people off the top of my head who I am good friends with who 4 months ago were not playing Balatro, and now they're fucking loving it. So hey, I'm not saying it was me. I'm not trying to say it was me that did this, but I'm just saying I wouldn't say I had nothing to do with it either. That's all I'm saying. This is fucking indie game of the year winner, man. This freaking killed it at the Game Awards this year. That was great to see. Local Thunk, well done. A solo developed card-based, poker-based roguelike game that I've already talked about plenty in my mid-year list video, so I won't go on too much about it here, but I was so sure that at this point my excitement towards this game would have worn off, but it really hasn't. The unbelievable amount of possibilities and deck combos and Joker lineups you can construct that completely redefine how you engage with the game and its various different challenges and mechanics. It's just fucking endless. It's just a brilliantly assembled core game. I honestly think this game is one of the most just innately satisfying and fun games we have seen in years. This shit could really replace Solitaire as like the go-to card-based time killer. There are very few better feelings you could experience in gaming than Anaglyph deck, negative blind when you skip it. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Just the thought of it. Oh my god. My favorite Joker in this game is DNA. I fucking love DNA. We're going flush 5 builds to the fucking moon. You already know what the deal is, bro. Blueprint, brainstorm, DNA out this bitch. You know what's up. And then we get the fucking hologram Joker, right? So you're getting a mult increase every time you use the DNA. Outrageous. King strats right here. And then you get the glass Joker, so you're DNAing like, you know, a glass card, right? So your deck is full of glass cards, and then you got the glass Joker, so that every time you break a glass card, you're getting even more mult. It's the fucking dream. I'm telling you. DNA, I'm telling you. Can you name for me a better 5-Joker lineup than DNA, Brainstorm, Blueprint, Glass Joker, Hologram? I would love to hear it. I mean, there probably is one, like maybe Mime, Sock and Buskin. Probably some re-trigger shit you could pull. Idol, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Balatro, jump on it. Get all your friends to jump on it. Let the antics ensue. You are in for a lot of fun. It is handedly the most addictive and most played game for me. I think I got like 88 hours in it now, and it is going to keep going. It's just one of the most amazing gameplay loops. However, number 7 is the shortest game on this whole video. Actually, maybe tied with Thank Goodness You're Here. It's like 3 hours long. And yet, here it is, beating out a game I've spent 88 hours on. See, there you go. See, that's the thing. A lot of people put a lot of value in time. They're like, oh, I'm not going to spend this much money for this game. It's only so and so hours. They equate the value of the game to how long it takes to play it. But no, here is proof that a small, brilliant, perfected, wonderful slice of imagination and great creativity can overpower something I can sink 1,000,000 hours into just because of how meaningful that small time was. And that's exactly the case for my number 7 spot, which is going to Nomada Studios' most recent game, Never. I did not expect to love this game as much as I did. The first game from the studio, Gris, left me a little bit cold. It was very impressive and gorgeous. Some of the most dazzling and impressive art direction I've ever seen in an indie game. It's genuinely one of the strongest statements for a debut indie I've seen in a while. This thing is pretty fucking impressive. But as far as the physical gameplay experience with Gris, there was a pretty strong disconnect between that and what I was seeing on screen. They never quite met in a harmonious way that allowed me to really feel this game on the level I think it clearly wanted me to feel it. Never is the follow-up to Gris, and it's about the same runtime. Gris was also about 3-4 hours. Pretty brief stuff, and the appeal of Never is on the surface, pretty similar. This thing is one of the best looking games I think I've ever played. It's pretty handily the best looking game £15 can buy you. Never is an unbelievable tour de force to look at. This thing is just outrageously pretty. The story here is one that is a lot more tangible. It's one about parenthood and preservation. The withering decay of Never could definitely be seen as like an allegory for climate change, or just sort of the world kind of consuming itself and the horrors of the world we live in, and how that can really kind of interfere with your ability to really connect with the people you love and cherish that time and nurture that time. And Never is really a story about the physical act of doing that and the value of doing that. And I really felt and understood everything it was trying to communicate so explicitly and powerfully, because Never, compared to Gris, makes much more of an attempt to intrinsically communicate these things through its gameplay. Gris was a platformer through and through, whereas Never does introduce some fighting, some pretty basic hack and slash combat. At first I was like, well, why? What's the point? The combat, it was very simple. I was like, there's no need for this combat, whatever. But as I continued playing the game, it became really obvious that this combat is the actual driving force, the cornerstone of why Never works. We are playing as a character who was fighting tooth and nail to keep the corruption of this world away from Never, the titular wolf. So to physically be the one enacting that fighting, I think allows you to feel really connected to her motivations. And I think this game has a really clever healing mechanic. This healing mechanic literally communicates the themes of perseverance and determination. It's like you have to hit 6 hits in a row without taking a hit yourself in order to regain some HP. So if you find yourself on low HP, like you're about to die, the only way to come back is to stay alive, keep fighting, just get a few more hits in there, just persevere, and then you get another chance to see through the things you're trying to accomplish in this game. And that you just palpably feel that intensity and that struggle and that vigor that I think the game is really trying to communicate. Creativity-wise as well, the game may not present the most deep or flexible or expressive combat system, but the way it has you engaging with that combat system evolves significantly throughout the game. Yeah, there's a thing in this game, I won't spoil it, but there is a thing in this game involving reflections that had me losing my shit. It was so fucking cool. This thing is just leaping at the opportunity to sort of dazzle you with a new idea, a new visual trick, a new sort of nifty platforming idea that not for once in your 3 hours do you feel like the game is wasting your time. And the music's amazing. This game is just a sensorial fucking, oh, it's great. The only issue or shortcoming I can really think of is the fact that it is so short. Like, it does end at a point where I think in any other game it would be like the, you know, the expected halfway point. But here it was the ending, and I was like, damn. Literally just 1 or 2 more hours of gameplay, you could have had like a masterpiece with this. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And the voice acting, one word is spoken throughout the whole game, the title, never. You press triangle to call never towards you. They apparently recorded over 400 different expressions to say the word never with, and all of them are in the game. Every time you press triangle, you will not hear the same recording of never. You will hear a recording that reflects the emotion of the character you're playing as, and maybe if you're worried about where never is, she'll sound worried. You'll hear that in the voice acting. It's fucking great attention to detail. Nomada Studios have really cemented themselves as one that I super care about now. At first I was like, yeah, they're cool, maybe not mind-blowing to me exactly, but definitely worth paying attention to. But now I'm like, okay, I will fucking play and buy whatever they make in the future. Great stuff. At number 6, it's Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I love this game. It's like one of the best things Ubisoft have ever made. They were going to make a sequel. It got scrapped because it didn't sell very well, which is a fucking tragedy. However, it's not entirely a tragedy because the team who made it are now working on a new Rayman game, and we have been long overdue a new Rayman game, so that's pretty good. Yeah, this is one of the greatest Metroidvanias I've ever played. It's actually the only Metroidvania where I never got lost once, which is kind of amazing, because that's sort of baked into Metroidvanias. Every single one. At one point, I'm like, where the fuck do I go? That never happens in Prince of Persia. This game's accessibility features are unbelievable. It's also got the best fucking combat in any Metroidvania I've ever played. And it's like 20-something hours. Never gets boring. This is actually, the more I think about it, this game is a damn near masterpiece. Yeah, definitely play it. Definitely. The only major shortcoming is in the story and characters. Outside of that, the actual game here is phenomenal stuff. Number 5. I've been waiting to talk about this one. What am I going to say? I'm not entirely sure, but here goes. Number 5 is Metaphor Refantasia. Fuck me, what a game. One of, I think, the most important earth-shattering games to have released last year. This decade so far, I would say, actually, as well, on top of last year. This is one of the decade's most, just defining games, I would say. This thing feels like a real statement, you know? It's one of those games you just sort of, like, you get a little shudder thinking about. It's like, god damn. They put their fucking foot down with this one. They being Studio Zero. Studio Zero is 1/3 of Atlas. Atlas are responsible for the Persona series, which I'm a huge fucking fan of, if you couldn't tell. They split into 3 studios. There's P Studio, and they're the ones that make Persona. There's another one for like the spin-offs and shit, I think. And then there's Studio Zero. I think it's founded by the director of Persona 5 and Persona 4. It's entirely dedicated to new IP, new franchises, and that's what this is. Metaphor. It's a new franchise from the people behind Persona 5. Which is like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna play anything made by the guys who did my second favorite game literally ever. And the thing with Persona, I love Persona with all my heart, and I think this is more an issue with Persona 4 than it is Persona 5. Persona games are kind of immature. They're kind of silly. I was playing Persona 4, and my dad was watching me play it, and I was like, this game is fucking anime as hell. In the kind of overly cheesy, like cringy way, I was like, dude, Persona 4 needs to chill sometimes. Persona 5 too, but mainly Persona 4. That fucking scene where you guys all go on holiday and then like fucking Chie gets all drunk and it's so awkward. The dialogue in Persona 4 is not 10 out of 10, we'll just say that. But yeah, Metaphor noticeably departs from the tone of the Persona games. This is like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings type shit compared to that. This is like proper high fantasy, stoic, pay fucking attention kind of stuff. It's much more mature. And it's one of the most explicitly allegorical games I've ever played. This game literally opens, the fucking first 5 minutes is the game itself talking to you, the player, like, hey man, what role do you think fantasy plays in your life? It's like, it gets super meta, hence I guess the title of the game. And it's all taking place in a very war-torn fantastical world where races and tribes are split. And it's very obvious and knowingly obvious that this is about the world we live in, really. And it's so proudly letting you know that right away. I've never seen a game do that. It's so unique, and it was permeating throughout my entire playthrough, just how desperately the developers work to make sure you're as conscious as possible that this is about you and your life. This, I think, could so easily come off as really annoying and preachy, especially to fucking gamers. Because whenever there's like a message in a game, gamers are like, oh, yeah, fucking preaching, fucking woke, fuck. Like, they just flip out and start crying. But I'm not gonna lie, Atlus towed the line so overwhelmingly perfectly. Atlus, I think, of any developer, have really honed the ability to make your game feel like an adventure that you're excited to be on. Like it's a road trip with your best friends. You stay for the camaraderie, for the banter, for your mates. And Metaphor is no different. This thing just feels like a road trip you are grateful to be on every step of the way. It never gets rid of that same appeal, despite taking place in a much more lofty and ambitious setting. And holy shit, Luis, one of the coldest fucking villains. That's my guy. I fucking loved Luis, bro. As far as gameplay, this is very much a kind of a reskinned Persona. There are some kind of micro tweaks thrown in there. The social links and archetypes are handled a bit differently. There's a few little micro tweaks, but generally speaking, the gameplay here is very Persona coded, as is the presentation. This game is stylish as shit. The main menu looks absurd. This game's a bit shorter than Persona games are. It took me 65 hours to finish, roughly. I've seen some people say they beat the game in like 80 hours, so maybe your mileage will vary, but for me it was a little bit shorter. It's still a pretty huge game and a big commitment, but not quite as much, I think. It's such a logical progression, tonally, for Atlus. This thing is so wonderfully mature and righteous, ambitious, and it just feels like the most important adventure of your life, and you're just fucking thrilled to be on it. Every second of this game was a delight. I really loved it. It's a game that, much like Persona 5, it really did hurt to leave it behind. I thought it was fantastic. And that is why Metaphor Refantasio is my pick for the 5th best game of 2025. Nope. Fucked it up. Start the video again. No point. Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the best games of 2025. It's kind of weird to say Metaphor is my 5th favorite game of the year, because it feels like it should be like in the top like 2 or 3. Like it was so good. How the fuck did I enjoy 4 games more than that? Like in any other year, that's like number 1, you know. My number 4 pick is interesting following up Metaphor, because it's not the first time that this game has beat out Metaphor Refantasio. Game of the year winner. People didn't like that this won Game of the Year for some reason. I don't know why. People wanted Black Myth Wukong to win. I saw a lot of like TikToks of people like, how did this stupid family kiddie game win over Black Myth Wukong? I mean, Black Myth Wukong has got amazing animations and bosses and style, this blah blah. Fuck off. All of you. I've not played Black Myth Wukong. Apparently it's great. I would love to give it a go at some point. I'm sure I'll really enjoy it. But look, I'm sorry. Watch 5 seconds of gameplay of Astrobot. Surely the appeal of this game, is it not instantaneously obvious why this game is good? Look at the game. Use your eyes and ears, mate. The polish of this game is genuinely among the best I've ever seen. Try. Fucking dare you. Try and find a pixel of roughness, error, anything that doesn't look like it has been glossed over a million times with a magnifying glass and just brushed up to perfection. You can't. You freaking can't. This game is a colourful explosion of joy and nostalgia and fun. The nostalgia element, I think a lot of people hold against this game. Like, oh, you just like it because it's got references to Metal Gear Solid or whatever. Do I like seeing references to Metal Gear Solid? Sure. But I genuinely think if you took away all of those references, the game you're left with is still one of the best in its genre. I talked about how Metaphor Refantasio explicitly addresses the player in its opening few minutes. Astrobot does not do that, but it kind of feels like it does that. It feels like it's aware that there's a player. If Metaphor is the explicit interaction or bridge or gap between, game and player, this is the implicit one. Astrobot just feels desperate to impress you and make you smile, and it kind of knows all of the avenues it can go down to achieve that, whether that is through a cheeky nod or it's just through a really novel mechanical idea. Every single level provides you with new ideas, new things to engage with, new things to gawk at, new environments to enjoy, new enemy types, new physical responses to the walls, the foliage. Everything you look at in this game can be prodded at and played with. This is like one big giant physical digital toy. It uses the DualShock 5 controller as a toy that can be explored and examined, this game will leap at the opportunity just to make you go, oh, no way, cool. Just make you geek out a little bit, whether it's just the umbrella, the rain hitting your umbrella, and you feel the little vibration tingle on the controller, or it's you getting a really cool pair of like freaking mechanical boxing gloves and just punching the boss. Or whether it's due to just the cascade of visual wonder you're seeing every 5 seconds. I've never seen a game more committed to just being the most exciting thing you've ever seen at every possible turn. And it's really refreshing and endearing to see a game so hell-bent on being like your favorite moment. This is the kind of game that I think kids will play and have formative memories with. It is one of the most contagious things I have felt in a while, and I really hope PlayStation know how amazing this is, because it doesn't seem like they do. They seem just desperate to market Horizon the movie. They announced a Horizon movie, a Helldivers movie. Look, dude, I'm sorry. Why are you guys not marketing Astrobot as like your mascot? Why? I swear, this game did not sell as much as it should have done. You're looking at like a 10 to 12 hour long campaign that does not reiterate a single idea once, and it discards genius ideas like it's nothing. Astrobot just sort of cycles through rapidly explosive, fun, fascinating ideas like they are nothing, replacing it with something that is equally amazing, and the game just continuously does that until it can't anymore. This game in every sense is like a gift. You just owe it to yourself to play this. Just enjoy this freaking beautiful creation. I hope PlayStation double down on 3D platforming, this colorful physical creativity that they've landed on with Astrobot, because it's amazing. They've been the stoic, serious, mature, cinematic 3D action game guys for ages. They're great at that. You know, keep making God of War games and Last of Us games and all that stuff. But I hope there's always going to be space for the Ratchet and Clanks and the Astrobots of the PlayStation world, because they are delightful. Number 3 on my list, my third favorite game of the year, is a puzzle game. In fact, the entire top 3 are puzzle games. But yeah, this one is a sequel to a game I played for the first time this year, and upon playing it, I was like, give me the sequel, I need more, because I was a little obsessed with it. My number 3 is The Rise of the Golden Idol. So what is The Rise of the Golden Idol? The Golden Idol franchise is currently my most beloved thing in the world. I want a million more of these games. This is a series created by Color Grey Studios in Latvia. These guys played Return of the Obra Dinn and said, you know what, there's not enough of this. We need more shit like this. And they made The Case of the Golden Idol and released it in 2022. It released to plenty of fanfare and critical acclaim, and sort of slowly over time became a bit of a cult classic, if you will, an indie gem, and I had heard all about it when I searched up games like Outer Wilds upon finishing Outer Wilds, and I saw this game listed quite frequently alongside Return of the Obra Dinn and various other titles, and I just took a mental note. Okay, Case of the Golden Idol, okay, that could be something to play one day. Then the sequel gets announced. I'm like, oh yeah, right, the sequel to that game I need to play, The Case of the Golden Idol. Oh yeah, okay. Case of the Golden Idol was on sale a few months ago. I bought it and played it. Within minutes, I was utterly obsessed with this game. But I haven't actually answered the question. What is this game? It's a word-based, deduction-based mystery game, detective game. This Golden Idol is this ancient artifact that can do some mysterious, powerful things. Quite frequently, these powerful things and this kind of desperate search for this Golden Idol results in a lot of people dying. Whatever the case might be, it's your job to solve what has happened. You are presented with various scenes, crimes, the aftermath of crimes, and the people involved during the final few moments of someone's death or something going wrong. And your goal is to fill in the blanks on a big paragraph that attempts to break down and explain exactly what has happened at this crime scene. Does that make sense? It's a hard game to put into words, but I hope that makes sense. The goal of the game, with every single case, is to fill in the words correctly. So-and-so was trying to do so-and-so, but so-and-so wanted so-and-so to so-and-so. Therefore, so-and-so, so-and-so to so-and-so, so that so-and-so could so-and-so, so-and-so. You have to figure out what all the so-and-sos are. How do you figure that out? You forensically fucking scan every piece of information presented to you in the scenes, and it is so much fun! So much fun. Why are there not more games about doing detective work, figuring things out, solving mysteries? It's such a brilliant fucking canvas for video games. L.A. Noire, Alan Wake 2 are games that are more mainstream that have sort of, caught onto this. It's just Return of the Obra Dinn and these Golden Idol games and Outer Wilds that seem to understand how powerful that discovery process is. Of the two, I prefer Case, because Case's story, the overall story, is just fucking awesome. Case has a really cool central narrative and a look that I just love. The pixel art in Case the Golden Idol was fucking sick. Not as big on the art style in Rise of the Golden Idol, won't lie, but it's still very sick. It takes place many, many years after the Case. The Case of the Golden Idol takes place in like the 18th century. Rise takes place in the 80s. One of the main differences with Rise, I think, is in its tone. It's not quite as gothic and eerie and dark as Case. It's a little bit more zany and wacky and humorous. It has a story that gets told out of order. You could solve a case that is very late in the timeline of events, and then the very next one is like directly before it, and when it's all said and done, you kind of piece it all together like Memento style. And I thought that was actually a stroke of genius, because one of the best things about these games to me is that initial reveal. When you first see the case you're about to solve, it's like, what the fuck happened here? You're just excited to peel it all away. Now with Rise of the Golden Idol, there's an additional satisfaction in figuring out how the case you just solved ties into the grander story, and that was put to great effect. I just fucking eat up this gameplay loop, and this game proved to me that these guys in Latvia, these color gray dudes, they could write amazing, fascinating mysteries in their fucking sleep, because Rise really pushes this central gameplay loop to new areas. There's this one case involving a dance routine that is so far ahead of anything that happened in Case of the Golden Idol. The actual ways you engage with the cases in Rise is really creative, and I think just shows the fact that these guys are very boundless with their ideas and what they can do within this framework. The UI is so much better in this game too. Playing this game on a console, definitely not ideal. If you can play this on PC, please do, because fucking hell, navigating the words is a bitch. I love these games to death. If you like Obra Dinn even slightly, please play this. You have no idea what's waiting for you. This shit is so fun. And yeah, I really hope they just make 4 billion more. This was amazing. Number 2, my runner-up for Game of the Year, is easily, in my opinion, the most original game all year, purely off creativity and originality. This thing is light years ahead. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. This is the latest game from Swedish team Samogo, who gave us Sayonara Wild Hearts a few years ago, which highly recommend that. It's a short game. It's an album, actually, as well. It's labeled as a pop album video game. It's designed to have really fun individual bite-sized levels that you just want to replay over and over again because they're accompanied with great pop songs. It's attempting to blend the world of pop album and video game, as I'm sure you could glean from that. And it's really fun. I recommend it. The stylish presentation is awesome. Love the color scheme. Love the music. It's like these on-rails score-based like race missions that you do. It's really creative. It's super original. Super original. Super original. Keep that in mind. It's original. That's something I did not acknowledge enough when I first played it. I probably did call it original somewhere in my life, whether it's talking about the game to people or messaging people about it. I probably did call it original at some point, but no, I did not acknowledge that this means the developers that made it, they have an eye for originality. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes does things I could never have ever dreamed a game would ever do. This game is so fucking batshit. You need to play this. You just need to play this game. Go in knowing as little as possible. It's a puzzle game, and it's a tough one. I love puzzle games. This one assumes that you are locked the fuck in. This game in its opening few minutes actually advises you to use a pen and paper. It literally says this game is best experienced with a pen and paper in hand. I think you can beat this game without a pen and paper, in my opinion. But it does help, I won't lie. This is a puzzle box game. It's a puzzle box. What I mean by that is like, you just chip away at it. It's a big box full of puzzles that you're slowly unraveling. There'll be a puzzle here that you don't have the relevant information to solve yet until you've solved this one here, which solves this one here, which solves that one here, and then you get a code that might be useful here, which leads to a solution to a puzzle way over there, and it's just a bunch of different puzzles that you slowly chip away at. Right when the game seems impenetrable, one tiny solution in one random corner will lead to a ripple effect, and you just feel like a fucking wizard at a certain point. The trance, the addictive cycle of, I'm so smart, is used to great effect because you're just constantly wanting to peel every single layer of this box. This game is curiosity inducing to the maximum. This game's world and atmosphere is unlike anything I've ever played. Just look at the fucking game. Look at how stylish the shit is. The black and white, piercing purple, red shit. When you go and like pet the dog, it just randomly goes to like a fucking 9:16 aspect ratio for some reason. Like there are just so many random creative choices that aren't random because they make you feel something and they entice you further into the intoxicating dream / nightmare that is this game. This game's also a mild horror game. There are creepy fucking moments in this game. There's a moment where you get absorbed into like a PS1 horror game. You just enter a fucking like retro style, like, dude, this shit just does whatever the fuck it wants. I love how completely boundaryless this game's puzzle box nature is. It really is a playground full of puzzles. If you're in the mood to get locked in to like a fascinating little fucking weirdo puzzle box mystery story, Lorelei is like your wet dream, dude. It is amazing. This is the coolest game on the market. Like, I've never ever played a game that I've just reacted to like, holy shit, this is just so cool, quite as much as this. Like, this is what to me cool is, 1,000,000%. There was this one really awesome moment where you go on the computer, you put in this like disc and you have to sort of solve these weird point and click puzzles that leads to a code that, and it was so fucking fascinating to me how this game could so in an instant divert completely from the game it's built itself up to be up until this point and just hard turn left into a whole new thing just for the sake of offering one cool little eureka puzzle moment. And the whole thing where the guy with the maze head like stops you so that you can like analyze a scene and get every single detail ingrained in your memory, otherwise he'll shoot you and he asks you a question like, where was the chessboard, was it on the left of the table, was it, and then if you get it wrong you die and you got to restart your most recent manual save. By the way, there are no auto saves in this game is like not fucking about. It's like, yo, you can only save it manually. You need to bring a pen and paper. It's very just like, are you ready for this? I love how seriously this game takes itself, despite how wacky and kooky and surreal it is. Truly is just one of the most fascinating and cool fucking games out there. And it's a good helping too. This game took me like 16 hours and I was in love for every second of it. Samogo are awesome. One of the coolest developers in the world. If Sayonara Wild Hearts didn't already prove that, this game just takes that hypothesis to the stratosphere. I love this game. I love it. I fucking love this game to death. But it's not my number one. It's not my number one. My number one, my game of the year, my personal favorite game, the one I've enjoyed the absolute most. I've played this game for 23 hours now, I think is what it says on my PlayStation. I have, as far as I know, done absolutely everything you can do in this game. I think I've 100%ed it. As in, like, true 100%. Because this game isn't actually 100% completed when you think it is. There are secrets. And so many secrets that it's very possible I haven't found some stuff. But as far as I know, and I think as far as the community for this game knows, I've completed the game to the max. And looking back on this year, this was the most fun I had with any game. In 2024, Animal Well. One thing that, yes, I've changed shirts. One thing that I've always thought about, even when I was just a tiny little boy when it comes to video games, is Easter eggs. I remember Halo 3 in particular having some really goofy, fascinating Easter eggs. Secrets that don't need to be there, they're just there for the novelty of being there. Just little nuggets of, if you know, you know, fun. Like in Halo 3, I remember there was this guy who... It was like a 2D image of some guy in like swim shorts just floating up and down or something, like a hidden guy. I don't know, it was this like thing hidden way in the corner of like the final mission of the game. And you could only get there if you were playing like co-op with someone and you like jumped on their back and then they jump and then you jump off their back. It was like the only way to get there was through this really weird, extremely specific sequence of events. Just only there for those curious enough to really push the game into outside the box territory. Just your mind fills in gaps that way sometimes. And it made me think, oh, if I was a game developer, I would just pepper my game filled with the most random, pointless secrets. I would make it so that if you stand by this specific door and press square, 43 times and then do a 360 turnaround and then jump and then input this specific code, like all of a sudden you get given like a sword made of slugs or something, or just some random JPEG appears on screen for 3 seconds, like a picture of like a cat or something. If I made games, I would just do that shit. Just random, extremely specific things that no one would ever find. That's the type of shit that really gets me going in games. And Animal Well is a game built for those players that are searching for those hidden in plain sight secrets that you'd never innately think of within the confines of typical game design. Animal Well feels like it's built to kind of subvert game design in a lot of ways, or whether or not that's the intention, it feels subversive and it also feels progressive. Animal Well could potentially birth new approaches to Metroidvania games, to side-scrollers, to platformers. This is probably my favorite Metroidvania ever, just in its mystery, in its curiosity, and there are so many just indelible images in my head that are just inseparable from this game, just key moments, whether it be your first interaction with the ostrich or the bat. This is a layered game with many secrets, things that are completely easily missable. Only there if you are a curious observer and you just question things like, what if I tried this? At every single turn there is a response, much like that Halo 3 thing, except this time it's baked into the fabric of the game. Animal Well is all about mystery. You don't know why you're in this well, you don't know who you are, you don't know what the wider narrative is, and it doesn't care to elaborate on it. It cares to just let you think about it. It's creepy and it's unsettling. Why are there all of these animals and all this foliage and all these densely labyrinthine puzzles just scattered all throughout the game? The game just twinkles and sparkles and fills you with hope, innocence, dread, beauty. It's addictive. Like, you just can't help but want to see around every single corner. Something that, as I mentioned earlier with the Prince of Persia segment, plagues a lot of Metroidvanias. Metroidvania games are extremely hard to navigate around sometimes. Animal Well can feel obtuse and impenetrable at times, but this is the first Metroidvania I've ever played where getting lost and getting stuck felt really fucking good. Backtracking in this game is wonderful. This game wants you to backtrack and ask questions. You'll walk past the same thing 400 times, but on that 401st time, you just might ask the right question. I think this is exactly the kind of internal psychological engagement that games never seek to, appeal to, and it's a shame, because I think it's something that only a game can pull off, and Animal Well is the first Metroidvania to really amplify that. It's not concerned with combat or leveling up, and sure, you might unlock tools and stuff, but it's always in service of the puzzles and the mystery of the game. And this game really finds some extremely novel puzzle ideas. In most puzzle games, if you play enough of them, you sort of get familiar with these specific archetypes of puzzle. Animal Well's devices to solve puzzles are very unconventional. They're like regular objects. You have a yo-yo, you have a frisbee, just things that are just dull, mundane toys, but they're your weapons, your tools. A slinky, a freaking wheel that you step in and start rolling around in, a little flute that plays musical notes. Through using these simple, mundane objects, Billy Basso, the developer, manages to pull off some serious magic. There are puzzles in this game that are unlike anything I've played in any other puzzle game, that are physics-based, logic-based, and just imagination-based. It's a game I really just couldn't stop thinking about. There is a great platformer here, a great puzzle platformer. If you just want to roll credits, beat the game, the experience you get with Animal Well, if you just stop there, is fantastic, and would handedly make this list as a really standout and special, fascinating platformer game. But where this game lands its number one spot comes in that terrifyingly ambiguous and mysterious late game process of peeling away every little secret. Quite often in this game I would just let a single screen just sit in front of me, just ponder over. I'll just stare at it and think and contemplate, and sometimes in those moments a really great revelation would just hit me, and it's in those moments I realize the magic of this game. It really finds the innate euphoria in mystery and puzzle solving. It's a game I really think anyone could jump into and enjoy. It's very deceptive in that way in its presentation as just a 2D side-scroller. You sort of think you know the game way before you have any clue of what's going on. I loved that gradual process of peeling away at what this thing really is. It knows exactly what you're expecting. It knows exactly how to subvert that expectation. It's creepy, it's wondrous, it's moving. It's just such a bizarre, fascinating slice of someone's imagination. Billy Basso put his entire being into this game. This is a labor of love through and throughout. Elated at the thought of Billy Basso making a new game. Like, I am amazed that this voice exists in indie games. It's the kind of game I've always dreamed of and never thought would happen. I'm eternally grateful for it. I think Animal Well is an extremely special game, and I really hope it goes down in the same conversation as games like Hollow Knight and Fez, Shovel Knight, like these just sort of like masterpiece landmark indies. It's amazing stuff. I am so proud to say that Animal Well is well and truly, in my eyes, the game of 2024, the best game of the year. And that's going to conclude my list of the best games of 2024 last year. Top 11 games. What games should I get around to that I didn't play from last year? Let me know which should be on my priority list. Currently, Botany Manor and Harold Halibut are at the top of that list. So what games are more important than make a case for why I should play your game of the year in the comments if you want. And just thank you very much for watching me ramble about these games I freaking love. It's just fun to be a nerd, isn't it? Oh, I did play Elden Ring DLC. Forgot about that. That was awesome too. I guess that could go on the list as well. Yeah, it was fucking sick. Subscribe to the channel for more fun stuff. Go listen to If You See a Blur by vale-smith. It may or may not be an album created by me. Go hit play on it and see what you think, and then tell me what you thought if you want, or not. It's up to you. Just give it a go. Have a lovely day though. That's the most important thing. Now that the video's done, go off and enjoy your freaking day. For me. Thank you. And goodbye.
Nice.